Alrighty, we're going to take 3. My internet went down again. So we'll just chill out, wait for the chat to build back up. And we'll go from there. So, sorry about that. It's I know it's frustrating, and I really appreciate everybody who jumps back in. It's a shame. I mean, especially during a reading. That's one of those things that'll be corrected very soon in the near future when we have, hey Luana, when we have some kind of technology that lets us piggyback off different backup systems. Like, you know, the fact that we're using one system or the other as opposed to several at once. Satellite, cable, Wi-Fi, RF, we should be using them kind of all at the same time to each support the other. And so that low-level stuff like uploading requests and downloading small text and whatever can be done at a lower 2G kind of level, or at a, you know, like a copper type of level. And then, you know, you have the higher stuff that can be sort of parsed up. And then you have the other stuff, the broadband, for what matters. And so capacity won't be an issue, right? But I mean, obviously that's been considered. And that said, though, you know, it's I imagine that problem will be addressed. The population's going up. There are more devices on the planet than there are people. And so, you know, that's a lot of things trying to connect to the internet all at the same time. And, you know, we can figure out, and will, how to deal with that. You know, some type of new protocol that doesn't rely on IP addresses and these other things. But that said, though, sorry to everybody. Friends of the channel know what happens too much, and it's one of these things that you know, I don't know, perhaps a new router, or perhaps a different process here. We'll I don't know. We'll see. I will say this: I don't have this problem at my church, which we use the same internet provider, but it is slightly different equipment. You know, Brianna, how's it going? Thanks for following over. So that might help the issue if I change the equipment. It is a slightly older router, but it's not that old. Although, what does that mean? Right? We're accelerating toward the singularity, which means that what 2 years ago, what was still good for 6 months now, could you imagine like how fast things are moving? And what the implication of that is with respect to keeping up to things like routers and modems and bandwidth. I mean, Moore's Law has already been broken. Lydia, I'm glad you made it back. If you stick around in the channel, Lydia, and you join me on my streams, I try to stream every night. I have done so far, I guess. It's going to happen a lot. My internet drops. I live in the Hudson Valley in upstate New York in the mountains. In a little town that's just gorgeous. But that means, you know, it's not always reliable. Yes, my advice for you is kind of the same message that had come up before. I mean, that's 2 separate decks that shuffled multiple times, pulled out the 6 of Wand for 2 different people. And so that's not for 2 different people. What it is for everyone who's listening. And so for everyone that's listening, victory is gained through works on the human level and through grace on the level of the higher self, right? And so what that means is that your higher self doesn't care what you do. All it cares is that you know it. There's no judgment, right? The Christians talk in a very beautiful way with respect to that. You're already forgiven, right? And now on the lower level, what we have is the idea of the opposite of that. We're judged by people by our works. Now, sometimes that gets ignored either because people aren't paying attention, or they are insecure because they see you doing better than them and they don't want to face that, or somebody who maliciously will take credit for your actions. Now, depending upon who you are in that circumstance determines how you best cope with that. But that's the idea and the lesson of the 6 of Wand, because the 6 of Wand teaches us that victory comes from being noticed for your actions. And sometimes that action is just rightness, meaning that sometimes the thing that gets noticed is that you seem a little loopy because you're doing things against the norm. But the fact is that when you do that, it succeeds. And so suddenly people are going, wait a minute, you know, they seemed a little strange in their approach, but suddenly the thing they did worked. And so people's attention is on you now at that point, and you become recognized for that work. And in doing so, you are elevated in the minds of the people who saw. Right? They kind of like promote you in their mind. Aww. Oh my God, that's my favorite dog. The a blue merle, yeah, Australian Shepherd. And it's a mini happy. Oh wow, highly energetic. That's a good word. It's also going to be highly loyal and loving and all those great things. You have to put the dog's name in the chat. What's the little guy's name? We're going to do some gematria on Brianna's dog's name. The gods like to interrupt live streams to sometimes put emphasis on something you just said. Oh, cool. So I have to go back and listen to that. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for coming back in. I know that happens a lot with synchronicity. Like here, the 2 6s that came up in 2 separate readings, right? The puppy's name is Puppy. Hello, Puppy. Puppy, puppy, puppy. Yeah, I heard something that dogs like high-pitched voice. Not high tone, right? An uptone to your voice. You know, like we consider, you know, even though I might be coming from a loving place, if I go to my dog and I'm like, you're so beautiful, look at this beautiful, oh, I love this. The dog hears, and so instead it's like, you're so beautiful, look at little puppy, hi puppy. Oh my gosh, puppy. So cute. So that would be pay, right? Let's go to the chart. Right, at least, yeah, we can do the name, sure. So let's do, all right, pay is going to be in the middle toward the bottom there, and that's going to be 80. And that's going to be 3 of those. All right. So I'm just going to drop in a 160 here. All right, so that's all 3 of the pays. Okay, now we have a couple vowels here. We have a U. All right. And then the U is 6, vowel. Right, plus. We're going to go to Yud. And then Hey. So 261, this is Brianna's dog. And that's a 9, right? Which is cool because 9 equals 0, but more importantly, it's a 9. But let's look up 261 real quick, and then we're going to do Modelista's husband. I don't know. I haven't done the gematria on Dreamy, so we'll have to find out. But here, let's take a look at. First, we're going to do Brianna's dog. Okay, 2. What did I say? Okay, 261. An obligation. So, okay, the first one is, an obligation, a prohibition. Interesting how those two things they're complementary opposites, right? Obligation and restriction. Don't forget, my freedoms are your responsibility. What else do we have here? Abomination. Abomination and abhorrence. It is an abomination. Which is kind of beautiful, because what is an abomination but the abomination is a cultural reference, right? It's kind of like the idea of being like against the grain, like it's sort of like unique. Abomination is an adjective, not a noun, right? But also we can do let's do the theosophical reduction, which pops it down to a 9, which we all know 9 equals 0 on the Vedic scale. I demonstrated that on the stream a little while back, but let's just take a look at 9. Brother, that's a great one. A garment. To become powerful. Splendor. That's a good word, splendor. Anyone who's done any peeking into the Kabbalistic will know the word splendor it's a big one. The mystic number of Chesed. That's one of the Sephirot of the tree of life. The enchanter. That's the one. We're going to use that one. The enchanter. So he is the enchanter. Awesome. Is he enchanting? Some enchanted evening. Okay. So what were we going to do? Oh, we're doing McDreamy. So Jacob David Short. I don't remember. I don't know if I did your full name, like with the last name and everything, or the middle name. I'm sorry. I just saw your reaction. Okay. No, I don't believe I did like the whole name. I have done the math on the magical name. But Jacob David Short. So let's start with Jacob. And okay, so Yud. Hang on, let me move that. I have my mouse over here on top of the books, right? Which is over here to my this space over here on top of this thing, right? And so I'm taking my hand, and it keeps banging into the mic, and so I'm sorry for that noise. I apologize. Short on space. So one more time, we're going to start with J, which is a Yud, right? Aleph. Now the C here we're going to do, depends on how it's pronounced. Alright? And so I'm going to go with Kaf, 20. O is vowel. And then bet. So just to start, Jacob is 39. I'm just going to pop this in here. Now this is not Pythagorean, just to be clear, because Pythagorean uses English characters, right? And so what I'm doing is I'm using the Hebrew that is the derivative of the phonetic sound of the letter. So okay, so I'm not using, like I used kof. Why kof? It's right, and the reason I use kof is because it's a hard K as opposed to a soft C, or a ch. It's a k, right? Enchanter of the obviators. Enchanter of the obviators. Wow. Obviator. I like that word. It sounds like almost a word that came from the like a sci-fi serial from the 30s. Like a Tales from the Dark Side type of Tales from the Dark Side. Today we bring you the story of the obviators. They are always making things very obvious. They come from the Department of Redundancies department. You'll laugh until you stop. Okay, so Jacob equals 39. Sorry. I warned everybody I was going to do a silly one tonight. Okay, second name, David. Oh, David, come on. David is anyway, you'll see. David, 4. Aleph. Vowel. Yud. 7. Gorgeous. So we're going to then now put David equals 25. Okay. Finally, short. Okay, so shin, not samach, because we have a sh. So it's gonna be the shin, which is the third one down on the right. Vowel for the O. Resh. Tau. Okay. Okay, let's have fun. Let's play with some toys. Let's just pop into the actual outer order to make it official. Whenever I see the words the outer order, it reminds me that I have permission to insult deity. Okay, so when you're in the inner sanctum, you don't do that. And it has repercussions. And I'm not kidding. But when you're in the outer order, all bets are off, and that includes God, all right? And so we're going to hang out in the outer order for a minute because we're playing with our toys, and we're going to learn some stuff about the consort of the soror, the Madolista Sire. The music hit perfect right there. So, first, let's just take a look at David. No, let's look at Jacob, 39. Jacob. First of all, is it prime? No. Secondly, well, no 9s are prime. No, some of the 9s are prime. Yeah, some of them. Sorry, some of them. So we're looking at Jacob 39. Okay. To abide. To abide. Why is that important? Because my lesson today was on the third pentacle of Jupiter, which during the prayer of the third pentacle of Jupiter, let me go ahead and get my Book of Solomon. Maddie, you're about to love this shit. Your synchronicity when you come in this room when we do gematria is so nuts that I need to hire you to guarantee that you show up to the streams to do gematria. I'm going to come back to this. I need to grab the Solomon so I can show you the prayer for the pentacle of Jupiter. The third seal of Jupiter. Yeah. Man, I love it when this happens live. When it happens live, it's just the best. Anyway, and now it's not this stream. It's the first part because my internet went down 3 times. All right, so this is the third seal of Jupiter and the Solomon system. Okay, the Solomonic system. And so now that said, let me just make some room here. So, okay, we're looking at this coin, which is the third seal of Jupiter. Okay, that's what it's all about. And now on it is some symbols which I reviewed, and I won't repeat that, but in the outer ring is a prayer. Okay, so the outer ring has a specific prayer starting at the top, going counterclockwise. Okay, and you'll see it up there. And if you want it more clear, it's here. Okay. Right. Shin, Yud, Resh, so on, right? Shir. It's the first word. Long story short, there's a prayer. And here's the prayer. It is from Psalms 75, verse 1, a song of degrees. They that trust in Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. They that trust in Jehovah, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, both of those are mispronunciations because we can't speak it, shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. Okay? That just rules. All right, so let's take a look now. Let's look at David. Five squared, right? To break. The beast. Let there be. Let there be. Thus. Seeking, looking. No, that's 26. Thus. Let there be. Gevurah. Of Binah, which is that's Kabbalistic. I'm not here to teach Kabbalah. How dare I, right? There's plenty of people that are a great resource for learning Kabbalah, and I'm not it. But that's anyway. That's referring to a very specific Kabbalistic circumstance. Gevurah of Binah. But so the beast, to break, let there be. Thus, like therefore, equals. Another word for thus is equals. Blue and red mixed make purple, right? Blue plus red, thus purple. Maybe. Yeah, my lag's pretty rough too, so. But so, okay. So what we're looking at here is David. And so Jacob was to abide. The eternal is one. Right? There's various, but to abide. And that's due to the fact that it came up in the original talk also. So that's what we're going with. We're going with abide right now for this message. And then the second one is let there be. Or to break, which is interesting. Thus equals. And just awesome. All right, so then let's look at short. You know, there's another important distinction here I want to make, and I'm going to do short in a sec, which is 806. What we're going to be looking at is the difference here between your first and last name. Your first name was a choice by your parents. Your last name was bestowed upon both of you. You were given your first name by your parents as their decision, mostly in some cases, especially lately, on a whim. But the last name is bestowed on both of you. Neither of you had a choice, right? And so the last name is different. And so short is 806. Like honor your ancestors, right? That's the card of the Four of Sword. There's a great picture in the Pamela Coleman Smith. Somebody lying on top of a mausoleum with the swords hanging up, pointed down at him, and his sword is lying sideways. Great image of respecting your ancestors, which is your surname, your last name, where you come from, that was bestowed upon you, the part that's not your choice. 806. Beautiful. Okay, ready? Nothing. Although, again, you could get a Hebrew dictionary and find something there, but you can see the 806 has no particular significance. And so the next step would be for the surname. Let's go ahead and do theosophical reduction on that, right? And so we cancel the 9, and we're looking at 86, so that would be 5, right? So we'll take 1 from the 6 to add to the 8 to make the 8 a 9, and it disappears, and we're left with 5. And so we're going to look with 5 as the surname. Mist, vapor. Air. So then we're looking at abiding. We're looking at or dwell, right? And we're looking at the dwelling place of the beast. Or more appropriately, the communication of the dwelling place of the beast. And what is the beast? Well, I have my story and introduced everybody to him. You want to talk to him? You guys want to talk to my beast? Hear me, for I am the voice from across the abyss, come to you to tell you the truth. There is no abyss. Okay, so fun. Now let's do the whole thing, all right? All right. So, well, that 9 disappears. We have a 3. Plus 2 is 5, and 5 is 10. All right. 18. 24. 6. All right, so 6. The whole name is a 6. The mystic number of Binah. Gog, the giant who is partner of Magog. A bear, a window. To gather, to collect. That's great. To gather and collect is an interesting actual symbolism, because it's sort of like, it's, first of all, it refers almost to gravity in a sense, but it's also the idea of the motivating force of the cup being filled. Because in order for the cup to be filled, there has to be this idea of the gathering, right? The union, the actual 328 for short. Yeah. Well, all right. Here's my thinking. If you did Samachay, then you might have gotten that. What I wound up doing was, as I did, let me pop it up here. This is the one. Where's my camera? Okay. So what I wound up doing, I used shin for ort, right? So I did shin, vow for o, resh, tau. Unless you did tet. Did you do tet or tau? Because again, you could do, you could spell it out, which would be samach, hey, vow, resh, tet, which would give you a different number. Or you could do shin, vow, resh, tet. Or you could do shin, vow, resh, tau. Right? There's a lot of ways to go about that. And what you should do is ring. So you got 328, and that's what we're going to use. And so let's go to the book. You know what? I'm going to ask my holy guardian angel right now. Let's just listen to the Madalista. Okay. So 328. Okay. The 4 princes plus sub-princes plus 316. Okay. The angel of the 3 of wand. The angel of the 3 of wands. We're going to go ahead and look at that. Darkness. That's pretty great. It's also a 4. It theosophically reduces to a 4, but we're going to look at that first. First of all, the angel of the 3 of wand. Crowley's 3 of wand is cool. It's like they're kind of all crossed, but in a good way. It's kind of like the trinity of the will, right? I mean, that's sort of not so hard to see once you really let yourself get into the symbolism of the elements, but more importantly of what these represent, like divine will, our will, and every 2 having a 3rd. So let's look at the 3 of wand, which is the gematria for the name as a card. And you'll know that at the core, the karmic energy of why he, at the beginning of time before he physically manifested, chose this name. The sun in Aries. Where have we seen Aries before? The Emperor, right? So if you look at the Emperor card, you're going to see the Emperor holding this staff. And what this card represents is the unification of those 3. But I also want to show you a couple of things. This is divine mind pointed down, right? Divine mind pointed down. The tip of the sword pointed down. And that's a beautiful symbolism. But let me find the Emperor so you can see what this card means. This is the minor. I'm going to show you the major. And that's where the word virtue comes from. But here, let me get there. Let's not jump ahead. So that's good stuff, right? The idea here is that the 328 represents this card. And if you do the theosophical reduction on 328, 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 8 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. The 4th card represents, this is the same card, right? It's a beautiful example of the gematria and the wisdom. And why does that work? Because of the order. The order matters, right? And if you get the order wrong, it doesn't work. And so this is a beautiful synchronicity with that respect. Although, is it synchronicity? No, it's just the order. It's like saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What a lovely example. And so now this gives you an idea of who he is. Right? And it's interesting, who is the pet that he chose? He didn't choose the lion. He chose the sheep. Why? Because he's not afraid. He doesn't need a lion. He is the lion. Well, actually, in this case, he's not the lion. I mean, this is Aries, but you get the idea. Like, you know, everyone asks, like, about Jupiter. Like, why is the word jovial, the word for Jupiter, mean joyful and, like, joyous? Wouldn't he be, like, big badass? Because, isn't he the biggest one and he's the king of the kings and all that as far as planets go? And it's true, but the reason that he's jovial as a joyful word is that he's fearless. He's not walking around being defensive. He's not walking around trying to prove anything. He's just being himself. And that is seen as authority, right? And so it's funny that somebody who can be seen as gentle and polite and kind of friendly is also viewed as powerful at the same time. And that's different than somebody who's magnanimous and eager to please, because that person, people see through that. You know, someone who's actually genuinely a gentle, joyful person probably is someone you shouldn't mess with. Right? Because what they actually are inside is power. That was a great one. Aries rising. Oh, crap. Cool. That's a great combination, actually. Right? You two are lucky. You guys found a good karmic thing going on, you know? It's a good thing you got there. It's a great energy. It really is. So that's fun, playing with toys, right? Did everyone see how that all came together? That was pretty cool. Let's see. The abide, let there be, Brian. Okay, so good. Make some room here. What time is it? I gotta get going here in a little bit. Tomorrow is a busy morning. Well, the moon was on the bottom, so that's what's going to be on top when I put the deck over here. So it's going to stay there until we figure out what the message is there and for whom it is, and then share that. Okay. So this is a fun stream, and I encourage you to pop in on the first part, because I kind of got a lot of good stuff out, which I'm going to reiterate before I leave. But there's just some really good stuff there. Specifically, the whole concept of that the variable is just added for convenience. How do human beings with our meatbag brains consider fourth dimensional reality? We don't. We just lie about it on paper. XYZ is how you calculate a cube, right? X times Y times Z. But what about a 4D cube? I don't know. Add a W. W times X times Y times Z. All right. Don't worry about D over DT. Don't worry about this crazy nonsense. Don't worry about just what we're talking about here is the physicists, mathematicians, they just throw another letter in and you're in fourth dimensional math. Seriously. Do we want to talk about vectors and matrices? Not on this channel, but you can go look up vectors and matrices and you'll see that this is what I'm talking about. And it's really just numbers to the mathematician. But to you, at the beginning of time, when you were bored having your thought experiment, you said, oh, geez, okay, well, I guess I need to, for convenience, to just have a conversation about happening. I guess I should imagine a variable. I guess I'll call it 1. That's all it is. You did that at the beginning of time before the Big Bang. That was you having that thought. And what you're looking at, thinking, experiencing right now is simply that continuation of the story you've been telling. Because you were bored and wanted to tell yourself a story. Mathematicians want to tell a story about the connections between the higher and the lower, or the gravity, magnetism, Newtonian, and the quantum mechanical string, and how they don't resolve. There's something in between that doesn't let those two things talk. They're always talking. They're never not talking. If you want to hear your voice, look around. Everything you see is actually you talking. That's you talking. It's you talking in the language of light. What does your voice sound like? It sounds like mine, for now. Later on it won't. It's going to sound like your mate snoring. It's going to sound like your cat purring in your ear. It's going to sound like your stomach grumbling because you were too tired to make dinner. You know, I've said many times, and this is the truth in secret. You know, you are not the thinker. You're the observer of the thought. Well, now I'm going to tell you the truth told openly. You are not the observer. You're the thing being observed. Just to be clear, every 2 has a 3. You're not the thinker. You're not the observer. You're the thought. You're not the seer. You're not the thing. You're not the hearer. You're not the singer. You're the song. Like, you want to hear your voice? Look around. That's you talking. Everything, all of it, always. I say it all the time. That your soul is always talking. You can't hear it with your ears. So what are you saying? You're saying that the world I'm seeing is actually my voice talking to myself. That's right. That's you. Not the thing that's watching it. That's what you think. You're not the observer. We've been fooled into that. That's just the lens we've been handed. Where do you hear that? You hear it in your heart. Take in the visual world around you. That's you speaking in the language of light to yourself. The conversation's always happening. Where do you hear it? In your heart. So take in your outer world visually in your heart. And you will become that thing. Because you are it. You just got to recognize. You want to be a flower again? I like being a rose. That is your soul talking to you in the voice of color and shape. And if you stop taking it in mentally and take it in emotionally, you will feel the connection with this rose because it's who you are. Do you feel me touching you? It's a biggie. It's everything. It's who you are. I'm going to complete with that same thing I started with tonight, which is that line, that paragraph, that little statement from this random book that I got from a random thrift shop that was published 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, 1973. The only sin is self-hatred. It is the act of negation. Its opposite is faith. There is no such thing as evil. The concept of evil is a crutch. We will not heal until we toss away the crutch. To heal is to become healthier. To become healthier is to enjoy a freer flow of energy. It is the flow of energy that gets us high. To perceive something as evil is to imagine that that object, that person, is not part of me. He's something else. To perceive evil is to attempt to deny that we are all one. We have a myth that relates to this. The myth of God and Satan, the fallen angel, Lucifer, cast out of heaven for disobeying God. God who is good, Lucifer who's not good. Not God, evil. But who's God trying to kid? God is all. There's nothing that is not God. Lucifer is God. There's no distance. One cannot fall from grace. One can pretend, perhaps, that brother over yonder is not me. He's something else. He is everything of myself that I've cast out of myself. One can pretend, but not for long. There is no way to cast out any part of oneself. There's no way to cast out any part of oneself. Systems of energy have no garbage. There's no such thing as garbage. Dear God, the jig is up. Stop chasing your tail. Embrace yourself. Lucifer returns to heaven. There will be dancing in the streets. The only sin is self-hatred. We call it sin, but its true name is delusion. We have got to get ourselves back to the garden. Easily done. We're in the garden. Let us open our eyes. So come on. How do you enter the inner sanctum? Open your eyes. That's you talking. And what it's saying is the only thing, the one truth. You never left, you've always been there. We never left heaven. There was no garden. What is the garden? God, you. Enough of the word. You, at the beginning of time, wanted to tell yourself a story, and so you needed a way. And that way is the invention for the purpose of convenience of a variable, of one. And then you needed another one. Okay, this is fun, this 2D math. I want to look at 3D math. Well, all right, X, Y, Z. Okay, well, now I'm bored with that. So X, Y, Z, W, or X, Y, Z, theta, or X, Y, Z, various, derivative with respect to time. It's imagined. None of that is actually real. It's all imagined. All of it. In the grand space of states, there's only one possibility. There's only one side of no coins. And that's all it's ever been, and that's you. You want to hear your voice? You already are. You're the voice. You can't hear your voice. You're the one speaking. Stop trying to listen. You're supposed to realize you're the one talking. There it is. Let's check the chat. Do you believe the timestamp on a reading for me I missed? I don't know the timestamp. I'm sorry. I know, and that's frustrating. I usually have the names up and stuff, but I don't. We can kind of sort of garner it through the chat, right? I mean, there's got to be an indication in the chat of when we began that portion of the conversation. When I started putting in the word Jacob 39, does that give me a timestamp on the dates? Yeah, let me see if I can timestamp the chat. Okay. Do you guys see the timestamp on the chat, or is that just visible to me? Because the moment I spoke, or rather typed, well, I spoke it through typing, the word Jacob equals 39 was at 3:03 a.m. Eastern. 3:03 a.m. Okay? And if we go before that, you typed in Jacob David Short, have we done my birth name? And that was at 2:59. How about my husband's name was at 2:57? And then, yeah, okay. So, now that's not going to help you going back on the video, but it will if you kind of watch the chat. Although I guess that won't. I mean, well, to give you an example then, the timestamp of where we are right now in this video, I have 3:40 a.m. and 3:21. That's 3:40 a.m. So you're going back from, to get to 3:19, we'll be going back, right? 21 minutes from this point will get you to where you typed, it's fine now, Jacob equals 39 equals to abide, and so on. And so that spot where I hit the table is at 3:40 a.m. All right. But, okay, so... All right, at least we have a spatial indicator. But, okay, sorry about that. And I am going to dig through and grab stuff. And so, while I'm going through that process, I'll try to grab the clip for you. Okay. But thank you for everyone who popped in tonight and stayed with me through multiple times of the stream going down. You're so great. It really, really means a lot. And none of this works unless it's a conversation. So if the goal is to maintain the integrity of the art, which is singular to elicit the response of you knowing yourself and everything else being playing with toys, why does the tarot work? Because it does. Why does it work? Because it's telling the story of your creation. And it's in the correct order. And you wrote that story, so you know how it ends. So we're not reading the future, we're remembering the past, and the cards just remind us. That's the only way to use them. Alright guys, well thank you so much for joining again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And if anyone has any questions or anything else, you can call, text, email, WhatsApp, buy me a cup of coffee, but if you did find any value in this, all kidding aside, please like the video and consider a comment. If you don't comment, it means you don't love me. So have a great night, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Luana, and thank you for coming. And thank you for following me through the crashes. Hear me. I love you.